Well, good morning. Wow, an awake crowd. Wrong speech, hold on. Okay. So First Lady Michelle Obama and I have gotten to know many of you over the years, and we always value the opportunity, like today, to express our gratitude and support for all that you do, especially for the men and women who serve and sacrifice so much for our country. Over the course of the last 7 years, Michelle and I have had the great privilege of visiting our troops and military families throughout the United States and around the world. I speak for both of us when I say that we're always inspired by their strength and resilience. They confront challenges that most Americans never have to face. Our troops serve on the front lines, keep us safe above in the skies and below in the depths of the sea. I just spoke at a keel laying ceremony for the future USS Delaware submarine, which will be one of the most technologically advanced ships in the world. And I also met with the crew and their families. An attack sub goes on 6-month deployments, and they may stay under the water for 50, 60, and 70 days at a time. Kind of unbelievable, isn't it? As I told the crew this weekend, it's a huge sacrifice for them to leave their families behind and spend months at a time under the sea, guarding the depths and protecting our shores. It takes a special kind of tough, determined, and smart man or woman, and it takes courage and commitment. But as brave as our men and women in uniform are, they don't serve alone. When deployed, our service members leave behind their families and their friends. That's why Michelle and I spend so much time with our military families. We know that they endure so much. Countless separations during training, sending loved ones into harm's way, and starting over on new bases again and again and again. It's not easy. We ask a lot of our military and their families, but they take on these challenging roles without complaint. They're proud of their service, and they're unlikely to ask for anything. That's really why we started joining forces in the first place. We wanted to find a way to give back to those who do so much for our country. And we believe all Americans, no matter where you live or what you do for a living, or whether you're connected to the military or not, should step up to show your support for service members, veterans, and their families. Today, that's what today really is all about. It's about your leadership and of American businesses stepping up and doing what they do best for our military and their families. Today is about making sure that when our young men and women return from war, they're welcomed home with a good-paying job. Today is about exceptional Americans like Johanna Martinez. Where's Johanna? Oh, there she is. Well, Johanna grew up in a military family with over a dozen members in the Marines and the Army. She likes to say that protecting our nation is the family business. After serving 4 years in the Marines, Johanna decided it was time to go home. The transition to civilian life was both exciting and a little scary. It's almost like starting new again. So when Johanna interviewed for her job at AT&T, she was nervous, like probably any of us. But then she noticed there was a U.S. Marine Corps logo on the interviewer's desk. She asked him, "Do you know somebody in the Marines? I just got out." His reply was, "When do you want to start?" The next thing she knew, she was working for a Marine again. Today, Johanna is the Talent Attraction Manager at AT&T, focused on supporting veterans and their families transitioning to civilian life, and I love that story. That's what today is all about. It's about giving our veterans the opportunity that they deserve. And there's nothing better for transitioning service members like Johanna and their families than a good paying job. Because when veterans begin their new career, it's the first step in economic empowerment, their chance at the American dream that they've spent their entire military career defending. Our soldiers, sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen are living a life of service, and that doesn't change when they take off the uniform. They still serve in their communities and neighborhoods, and a good paying job helps veterans reintegrate into civilian life after service, strengthening them as civic assets who want to continue giving back to their country. We talk about how we can salute our service members, how to thank them for their service. Well, this is it. You can make a real difference. You can hire them. Hiring veterans and military spouses is good for your companies, but it's also good for the morale of our military. They always have our backs, and they need to know that we have theirs. So this brings me to our first guest speaker, Jeff Bezos. You may have heard of him before. He owns a little company based out of Seattle called Amazon. You know, Jeff gets it. His company has hired over 10,000 veterans and military spouses since 2011, and he's not stopping there. So please welcome the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Thank you.
Well, what a pleasure and a privilege to be here today. Thank you, Dr. Biden, for your kind introduction. And, like I bet everyone here today, I appreciate the work that the First Lady and Dr. Biden are doing on behalf of veterans and military spouses through joining forces. Thank you, guys. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
At Amazon, we're constantly looking for leaders who can invent, think big, have a bias for action, and who want to deliver for customers. Well, those principles look very familiar to the men and women who've served our country in the armed forces, and also to their spouses. These guys work hard and they have lots of skills. We're fortunate to have veterans in leadership roles all across Amazon, like Sarah Rhodes. She's a former fighter pilot who joined Amazon 5 years ago and now manages several huge fulfillment centers and thousands of employees in the UK. And Cody Cameron, a Coast Guard engineering specialist who's now an area manager for our fulfillment center in Kent, Washington. Veterans are also helping bring the best possible cloud computing experience to our Amazon Web Services customers, like TJ Leonard, who joined us after 7 years in the Navy and is now a cloud support associate. Veterans are pioneering new products and services for customers, like Tom Baker, a former Navy fighter pilot who's helping Amazon launch our first brick and mortar bookstores. Veterans are helping us grow our hiring and training programs, like Ardeen Williams, a former Army captain at the Pentagon, and Rob Paulston, a major in the Army Reserve and a veteran of Afghanistan, and Colby Williamson, a Marine who served in Iraq. They and many, many others are expanding our hiring and training efforts for veterans and military spouses across the whole company. And because of their amazing work, we've more than doubled the number of veterans at Amazon since 2013. And we're fortunate to have military spouses on our team too, both in our offices and, importantly, in flexible locations. Like Jen Harrison Doss, whose husband is stationed at Dyess Air Force Base. She leads a team of recruiters in Seattle, and she can do it from her home in Abilene, Texas. Those are just a few examples. And of course, I want to thank all the veterans and military spouses all across Amazon. Today, as we celebrate the 5th anniversary of joining forces, I am extremely proud to announce that Amazon is pledging to hire 25,000 additional veterans and military spouses over the next 5 years. Like all the employees at Amazon, we'll offer them the same healthcare package and parental leave benefits as even our most senior executives. And employees in hourly roles can enroll in our Career Choice program, where we prepay 95% of tuition for any courses related to in-demand fields, regardless of whether the skills are relevant to a career at Amazon. And we're pledging to train 10,000 additional veterans and spouses in cloud computing, offering a path to AWS certification and providing a gateway into a high-demand, good-paying field. We believe this is the right thing to do for our veterans and spouses, and for Amazon, it's the right thing to do as well. And it's the right thing for our hundreds of millions of customers. And we're excited to keep hiring and training these incredible leaders. Now I want to introduce you to one of the many veterans here today, Kathleen Carroll. Kathleen joined Amazon in 2011 as a recruiter for our fulfillment network. Before that, she was a logistics officer in the Marine Corps for nearly 10 years. While on active duty, she led landing support operations during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and later took company command over an organization that provided personnel services to more than 40,000 active duty Marines. Today, Kathleen leads a 75-person team that recruits for our operations network in North America. Kathleen and her husband, who served as an infantry officer in the Marines and did 3 tours of duty in Iraq, have 3 kids and a home in Seattle. And in case that's not enough to keep Kathleen busy, she's also halfway through her MBA at the University of Washington. Wow. Please join me in welcoming the incredible Kathleen Carroll, a veteran, a military spouse, and an Amazonian.
Wow, thank you, Jeff. You inspire me because you've created a company of pioneers who are empowered to think big and make history. It is truly an honor to be here today. As Jeff noted, I'm a veteran and a military spouse. And thanks to Amazon's commitment to the veteran community, I've created a meaningful second career since leaving the Marine Corps. I'm thrilled that 25,000 more veterans and military spouses will soon join me at Amazon. I joined the Marine Corps in my early 20s, inspired by the opportunity to make a difference. In the summer of 2001, I graduated from Officer Candidate School and reported for duty at the Pentagon right after 9/11. I was devastated for our country, but I felt even more committed to serving at that pivotal time in history. I had life-changing experiences in the military. I met remarkable people, to include my husband, Chris, who's also a Marine. In our first 2 years of marriage, Chris and I spent 54 days together. The dual military life that we carved out wasn't always easy, but we made it ours. Between multiple deployments, we had 3 kids. Sophia, who's now 11, was born while Chris was deployed in Iraq. After a decade of service, Chris and I decided to transition from active duty. It made sense for our family, but it was also daunting. The Marines had given my life a lot of meaning. While networking for opportunities, I found a job that really excited me, standing up a veteran recruiting initiative at Amazon. A future colleague reached out to help me prepare for my interviews. I'll never forget her generosity of time. It was critical to my transition. Our recruiting teams continue to serve as resources to veteran and military applicants. We want them to know that Amazon values their leadership and unique experiences. I'm proud that since 2011, we've hired more than 10,000 US veterans. Our teams know that having a strong internal network for veterans and military families will make the transition easier. So we formed an affinity group called the Amazon Warriors. Through Amazon Warriors, we've created mentorship programs and organized volunteer opportunities, like sending care packages to troops deployed overseas. For military spouses, finding consistent employment is hard during frequent relocations. So we've hired military spouses into roles that can move with their families. I'm excited to see what 25,000 more Amazon veterans and military spouses will build in the years ahead, as well as those who seek out the trainings made possible by today's pledges. Today, I'm honored to introduce the First Lady, Mrs. Michelle Obama. Her joining forces work with Dr. Biden has made a difference to countless veterans and military families. My daughter, Sophia, who's in 5th grade, recently wrote an essay about someone who inspires her to be great. She chose Mrs. Obama. Sophia often shares details at length about you, Mrs. Obama, at our family dinners. And we're all on a health kick because of your Let's Move campaign, and our family is planning on running a race together this summer. We can't wait. But even more inspiring, Sophia talks about her admiration for your work ethic and focus on creating opportunities for all people. My daughter sees what you do, Mrs. Obama, and wants to do the same. You are an inspiration to all of us, and I'm honored to introduce you today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Michelle Obama.
Thank you all. Thanks so much. You all rest yourselves. You've been working hard, and obviously after this announcement, you'll have a lot more work to do. So I want you rested. Welcome, welcome. We are so thrilled to have you all here at the White House today. Let me start by thanking Kathleen for that just very sweet introduction. She didn't share with me backstage the story about Sophia. I said, you're going to wait and make me cry right before I came out. But the reason why we like to have folks like Kathleen share their stories is that they are the best representatives of why joining forces means so much to me and Jill. When we talk about being in awe of these men and women, it's stories like Kathleen's and her family's, and there are millions of people like her out there. So I want to thank Kathleen and her amazing family for being my inspiration. Thank you all for your service and sacrifice. We're so grateful, and we love you all. We love you to death. I also, of course, want to thank Jill, my dear, dear friend, who's been an amazing partner in this joining forces endeavor. But more importantly, she's been a terrific friend to have over this interesting journey that we've had together. So we made it to 5 years on joining forces. Looking back, we started talking about this backstage when Barack chose Joe to be his vice presidential candidate. And we both talked about the passion we had developed for our military, her as a Blue Star mom and me as a regular civilian who didn't have that connection. So to be able to celebrate this milestone together with you today means the world. So thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. And of course, I have to recognize our dear friend Jeff, an Amazonian. I like that. And all the Amazon team. Thank you, Jeff, for your leadership, for making such an extraordinary commitment to our veterans and our military spouses today. You are setting the bar high. You are doing a phenomenal job. Your team is amazing. And you're smart enough to hire Kathleen, so you must know what you're doing. So thank you so much, Jeff, and the Amazon as well. Now I'm going to take just a moment on this 5th anniversary to embarrass a couple of people. I want to give a special, and they're both looking down now. They're like, oh no, oh no. First, I want to thank Andy Anderson. Andy, please stand up. I'm sorry, you guys stand up. Andy is an Air Force major and an actual rocket scientist. There's one right there. We always touch them and go, God, and we didn't know they were that cute, too, rocket scientists. But he has been serving on our team as a White House fellow. And Andy has done such outstanding work on not just this event, but on so many others. I don't think people realize that all the work out of joining forces comes from a handful of people, on Jill and my staff, and Andy is one of those folks, and it's just been a pleasure to have you and your family on our team. The second person I'm going to embarrass is sitting right next to him. Our Joining Forces Executive Director, Colonel Nicole Malachowski, whose last day with us is tomorrow. So, Nicole was the first female Thunderbird pilot. She has flown 200 combat hours and received every award and recognition you can imagine. And she is as humble. She's the total opposite of all that. I have to pull her up and get her to talk, and she's a great mom, and I just have loved having you on our team, and our executive directors come and go. We only get them for a year, and Nicole is leaving us, but I love you. You have done a phenomenal job, and I wish you all the best on the next phase of your journey. And finally, most of all, I want to thank all of you who are here today, representatives from more than 50 outstanding companies and organizations all across America. You all range from small startups to multinational corporations. You're leaders in so many different industries, from aerospace and telecom to financial services and tech. But all of you are here today for one simple reason, because you know that our veterans and military spouses are some of the most dedicated, skilled, talented people in this country. And I am just thrilled that all of you have pledged to hire more than 110,000 of them and train 60,000 of them. Thank you so much. You're preparing them for high-tech jobs in some of our fastest-growing industries. And this is key. These jobs offer high salaries, opportunities for advancement, and as you've heard, the flexibility to accommodate the demands of military life. So these jobs are, they mean more than just the number, because this is real opportunity. These are precisely the kind of jobs we want for our veterans and our spouses, and that's why, since we launched Joining Forces back in 2011, we've been reaching out to business leaders like all of you and urging them to look to our military community for their employment needs. And year after year, companies have responded. And over the past 5 years through Joining Forces and great team members like Nicole and Andy, companies have hired or trained more than 1.2 million veterans and military spouses. And during that same period, our veterans' unemployment rate was literally cut in half. That's breathtaking achievement. And I want to be clear that companies didn't just make these commitments because we asked them to or because it was the patriotic thing to do, though it is. As Jeff mentioned, they made these commitments because time and again they saw for themselves that our veterans and military spouses are simply the best employees around. And they realized that training and hiring these folks isn't just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do for their bottom lines. And that is especially true when it comes to tech jobs and industries. The fact is that we have the most technologically advanced armed forces in history. For years, some of the biggest technological innovations, from the internet to GPS, have come from the US military. Right now, more than 150,000 of our men and women in uniform are already doing tech jobs. Whether it's the staff sergeant who repairs her battalion's communications equipment in the field, to the technicians who maintain the software on our fighter jets, to the countless folks working around the clock to protect our networks from cyber attacks. These people have done their jobs in some of the most challenging environments imaginable. So just think, if they can set up wireless networks in Baghdad or do satellite reconnaissance in the mountains of Afghanistan, I'm pretty confident that they can handle whatever's happening in Silicon Valley, right? But seriously, the bottom line here is simple. Right now, so many folks across our military are essentially already working in the tech industry. They just happen to be wearing our country's uniform while they're doing it. So when they decide to transition to civilian life, and companies like yours decide to hire them, I know that you will be blown away by everything they have to offer. Just take Ryan Makababad. And Ryan is here. Where are you, Ryan? I saw you. I know you're here. There you are. Ryan, I'm going to embarrass you too. She started her career in the Army maintaining systems for military intelligence. After completing Microsoft's Software and Systems Academy, she got a job working on Microsoft's cloud technology, where she quickly distinguished herself as one of the most talented and passionate employees. In an essay, this is a quote from you, Ryan. She said, "When I'm relaxing, I like to do things that interest me. Learning about different authentication methods and different technologies that connect you to cloud services. Those are the things that I enjoy." See, that's passion. I don't even know what that is. And that's what she likes doing in her spare time. So Ryan is amazing. And then there's the story of Sarah Dutile, whose husband is a captain in the Army. Sarah, where's Sarah? There you go. Sarah, stand up. Let us see you. Sarah works as a talent acquisition operations manager at EMC. And even through multiple deployments and multiple moves across the country, Massachusetts, Virginia, Washington, I'm sure I'm missing some place you've lived, EMC ensured that Sarah could keep her job. And she won 5 awards from her managers and was promoted to manage a team of her own. So it was worth it, right? Yes. So folks like Ryan and Sarah don't just bring a host of hard skills to the workplace, they also bring plenty of other qualities that are hard to teach on the job. They have a relentless commitment to excellence. They know how to juggle multiple priorities and meet tough deadlines and lead diverse teams. And when it comes to high pressure situations, when the pressure is the highest, that's usually when our veterans and military spouses are at their best. And remember, they can bring these skills not just to tech jobs, but to countless other jobs, from HR to communications to project management. Whatever job you're looking to fill, there are plenty of folks doing that job in the military right now who will be ready to succeed in your company on day one, flat out. That's why you've all made these commitments today. So thank you for doing your part. Thank you. But of course, it's going to take all of this. This isn't just your responsibility, because even when companies are doing everything right, too often the realities of military life make it hard for folks to take and keep the jobs that you've created. For example, for too long, veterans faced all kinds of barriers to applying their military training toward professional licenses and academic degrees. So while someone may have had years of training as an Army medic, for example, hardly any of that training would count toward a PA degree or an EMT certification. They'd have to start from scratch, often repeating courses they'd already taken. Military spouses in careers like nursing, law, real estate, anything that required professional licenses, face their own set of challenges because as their families move from base to base to base, as you've heard, they often do, they would have to apply for a new license in each new state, often paying hefty fees just to find work. But now, through joining forces, we've worked closely with governors and state legislators across the country to address these issues. And as of today, I am happy to report that all 50 states have taken action to help veterans get credit for their military training. And 49 out of 50 states have passed laws to help military spouses transfer their licenses from state to state. That's a big deal. And we very much hope that the one remaining state, the great state of New York, will pass legislation to help us solve this problem nationwide. Let's get to 50, New York. Because laws like these aren't just critical for the employment prospects of our veterans and military spouses, they're also critical for the overall health of our military. Let's not forget that we still have about 200,000 service members making the transition to civilian life every single year. And their success and their struggles will have an impact on our military for decades to come. See, we have to remember our military is an all-volunteer force. Everyone who wears our country's uniform today does so by choice. And if we want our best and brightest young people to keep choosing to join our armed forces, they need to see that their service will lead to successful careers either in the military or in civilian life. So that is truly our charge in the years ahead. And today I want to call on companies and organizations across America to follow the lead that you all are setting and truly commit to hiring and training our veterans and military spouses. We have so many resources to help companies get started. Through the SkillBridge program at the Department of Defense, companies can start training service members 6 months before they leave the military, so they're ready to start full-time the minute they transition. At the Department of Labor, it runs a veterans job bank and offers all kinds of assistance that companies can access. And once our vets and military spouses are on board, I hope that companies will take it to the next level, like Amazon is doing, by working to retain and promote them. Because the end goal here isn't just getting folks into entry-level jobs, it's putting them on a career path where they can keep learning new skills, moving up the ladder, and pulling others along with them. Because our veterans and military spouses don't stop learning and serving when they hang up that uniform. They are eager to find their next mission and use their training and talent to serve this country here at home. And giving them that opportunity is the least we can do. And if anyone can make it happen, it's all of you. You all are some of the most innovative, successful businesses in the history of this country. And you all are truly setting the standard on this issue. You're truly showing us what's possible. So we need to keep up this momentum. And I will say this again and again and again. No matter who is in the White House next, this should absolutely continue to be a national priority with national leadership coming from this building. And I know that if folks like you keep leading the way, and inspiring others to follow your example, then we can absolutely give our veterans and military spouses the opportunities they deserve. And we can finally serve them as well as they have served this country. So I will end by once again saying how grateful I am for everything you all have done and everything you'll continue to do. And I look forward to continuing our work together in the months and, yes, the years ahead. So no matter where we are, Jill and I are going to be working on finding a way to work with you guys and making sure that you get all the love and attention and support that you've earned, because we are certainly proud of you. We are certainly in awe of you. You make us better people. So thank you all so much. Congratulations on this wonderful commitment. Let's get more people joining in, and God bless you all. Take care.